Welcome to the Awesemo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal Emac coming to you on a Saturday morning with one Adam. Ship my money share. We've got a 9-game NBA slate going on here. We've got a few teams on back-to-backs. Of course, we are recording this on Friday evening, so not all of the games have finished yet. We still are awaiting the tip-off of the Sacramento Kings and the Washington Wizards, who are out there on the West Coast. They are the lone 10 o'clock game on Friday. On Saturday, all of the games will have tipped off by 8:30. Adam, it is not fallback weekend. I had to ask my wife. She said it's next weekend because, I didn't look at the internet. What do you got here? Why do you think everybody's starting by 8:30 on Saturday?
I'm guessing just because it's a Saturday, you kind of get more primetime games. That would be my guess.
Usually there's that one or two West Coast outliers, but perhaps everybody is traveling. Because looking at the games, the only true West Coast game is the Spurs, and they're in Texas, so that's Central time zone or Mountain, I forget which. All right, we've got the teams on back-to-back: New Orleans, Charlotte, and Milwaukee, and we've got a few of the early lines. The majority of them, the lowest projected total is Boston at Detroit. Boston is going to be 3-point road dogs, 206 over under. We've got these aren't even lofty anymore. We've got 232 between Chicago and Atlanta. That's just a 4-point game. We've got 229 Charlotte again on that back-to-back heading into Philly by 9. So that one will be interesting to consider. We've got Portland and Miami, 221 over under. Orlando at Milwaukee. Milwaukee's on the back-to-back. That's a 222 over under. And then last we have the Lakers at the Spurs. San Antonio favored by 1 and a hook, 230 over under in that one. Some lofty totals, but these are what we are getting now. Adam, talk to me. Let's do a quick high-level look. What do you think is the most impactful of these high scores? Is it the pace and space? Is it the change in the shot clock and what they do for some of the out-of-bounds plays? Have you looked at any data sets yet or read anything from the Sharpies out there at NBA.com that are explaining this anomaly that's going to be going forward?
No, I haven't really looked into it because I just accept that it's happening. I don't really care why. But I attribute it to mostly the faster pace and teams figuring out that they should be shooting threes and taking them kind of early and often and then getting out in transition and running. So that's what I'm attributing it to. But I definitely think it's here to stay.
These guys are going hard after makes down the court. It's crazy. It's just, I don't know. I like it. I'm not against it at all. It's just the moment that we need to really start to recalibrate, much like what we've seen a few different times in football where they have rules changes, including this year where that's promoting a little more offense. They had it used to be can't hit quarterback in the grass. Now it's can't touch the receiver basically and all that stuff. So it's just something we got to get used to and calibrate. We're going to go by position. Of course, we have the strategy show Saturday morning. We'll do that just before lunch is probably when we'll do that. So we give everybody on the West Coast a chance to get up and watch that. Adam and I will be breaking everything down game by game. We'll be doing a much more in-depth look at stuff. But for our high-level stuff, if you're out running around doing some errands, this will be a nice little podcast you can bring with you. Let's see. We'll talk about a few injuries and question marks. There's not a ton, surprisingly, but this is the NBA and things can change. Aaron Baines was out the last game with the sore hamstring. He is still questionable. We've got Ryan Anderson, who is going to probably be perpetually questionable for the rest of his career, be it with hip, back, and wrist injuries. Right now it is a hip. We know that Justice Winslow should be good to go. He's been dealing with his hamstring injury, but he's got the game under his belt. And then the one worry we have is Julius Randle is dealing with a plantar fasciitis, and he is going to be on a back-to-back, so you'll want to pay attention to that one. We have Mark Gasol, who is old and creaky. We have DeAndre Ayton, who tweaked his ankle but should be good to go. And then Kevin Love is a question mark. He has a sore foot. I believe it's the left one, and he is going to be monitored, I guess, a potential game time decision. And then Joel Embiid, he seems like he's always on the list even when he's going to be playing and healthy, but he's got a bit of a sore ankle as well. Any of these concern you? Any do you think that will be downgraded or upgraded?
No, not. I don't really have a strong opinion on that yet.
All right, then let's get on to the positions here. We've got point guard. I've been doing a bunch of talking here, Adam. Let's have you take us from the top here at the point guard position.
So, yeah, I mean, Damian Lillard, coming off the monster game against Orlando, has a bit tougher matchup here against Miami with, Whiteside rim protection. Goran Dragic, decent defensively. Justice Winslow back should improve that defense, assuming he actually plays in this game. He was supposed to play last game and then just never did. So I think a little bit tougher spot for Lillard. His price went up a little bit. The point guard position itself isn't really that strong, I don't think. But on DraftKings, where you have the multi-position eligibility, there's a lot of good shooting guards over there who, we'll get to at that position, but that I think are good point guard plays on this slate. Kemba Walker at only $8,000. I don't know what's going on with his price tag, but just keep playing him while he's down there. I mean, the guy's got over a 30% usage rate since last season without Dwight Howard. He's got over a 30% assist percentage. Currently on Friday night, he's just going absolutely nuts. We're 5 minutes into the third quarter, and he's got 25.7 assists, 6 rebounds already against Chicago. It looks like that game probably is going to blow out as well. So I'm guessing that Kemba will get a little bit of a rest in the fourth quarter and be good to go against Philly on Saturday. So really like him a lot at that price tag. Kyrie Irving at $7,100, I think, is a nice price as well against a backcourt consisting of Ish Smith and Reggie Jackson. That's two guys that, do not concern me. And then Trae Young really, really stands out. $7,200, coming off of a pretty bad game where he dealt with some foul trouble, but he's someone that in general I think is going to play around 35 minutes a night, and you have a really nice matchup for him against the Bulls, so I like that. Down in the value range, campaign again, he's only $5,000 facing bad Atlanta backcourt led by Trae Young, so I think that he's a strong play as well.
All right, thank you for pointing that out. Chicago, another team on the back-to-back. I had my filter set incorrect with there, so do want to call that out there, the fourth team. I'm looking just over here. I like to look at Yahoo from time to time. With Chris Dunn out, obviously campaign is going to be the key guy, but would you consider Ryan Arcidiacono? If I say it quick enough, it'll sound like I know what I'm doing. Antonio Blakeney?
No, not at all.
And so are we on the campaign train? Are we on the campaign trail? Are we on Cameron Payne? It's too close to politics season, so we're going to start calling him Cameron Payne just so I can not be talking about that. He's 11. That feels like a lock on Yahoo.
Yeah.
Their low is 10, by the way.
Okay, yeah. That seems nice. But yeah, I mean, I think that he's going to play 30 to 32 minutes pretty much every night that Dunn's out, as long as he doesn't get in foul trouble or anything. So while he's still, relatively cheap, I think that he's going to remain a good play, especially in a nice matchup here against Atlanta.
All right, let's use this game and matchup as a little bit of our transition to get over to shooting guard, starting with the point guard side, though. Elfrid Payton has been doing a lot of things and stuff and has been a very nice option in any format, season-long, daily, whatever you're doing. That's a good one. He's going to be going up against Ricky Rubio, who actually plays reasonable defense, particularly position defense, and we know that Utah tends to be generally a solid defensive team. Though everybody's sped up this year, so again, we're going to have to adjust expectations on that. What do you think about Rubio and or Donovan Mitchell to kind of cross over the point guard, shooting guard?
I have interest in both for sure. I think the price tag on Rubio at $5,400 leaves him plenty of upside in tournaments. He's not going to be overly consistent, I don't think, but it is a huge pace-up spot against the Pelicans, and the price tag is appealing. And then the same goes for Mitchell. We talked about it before that game against Houston where he finally broke out, but his true shooting percentage so far this season was, I believe it was like 10 percentage points lower than last year, and he's still getting the shots up, has about a 30% usage rate. It's just a matter of the ball not going in, and that's not going to last. I like him here. I do like Oladipo a little bit better, I think, at a cheaper price tag, but no problem with Mitchell.
All right, we're going to have a quiz. I like to do these little quizzes. So this is DraftKings, so no peeking. Of the 50 or so players, and I'm eyeballing it, it might be slightly more than 50, and I'm not worried about the couple people that are listed as out, but I want this to be representative. Of the 50 players that are eligible at shooting guard, most of them have multi-position eligibility. How many do you think amongst that 50 have just one single position eligibility above the $4,000 mark?
6.
The answer would be 1. Okay, do you want to hazard a guess? Let's do it.
No idea.
It's Mr. Hart from the Lakers.
That makes no sense.
How wild is that? I mean, we've got shooting guard, small forward, shooting guard, point guard. We have it's everywhere, and then he's just sitting there as shooting guard. That's it, Josh Hart. There you go. That's pretty crazy. All right, back in present day, Victor Oladipo, Zach LaVine. They've got some intriguing matchups. Oladipo with a little bit of or a lack thereof of defense going against Cleveland. Zach, of course, is going to be shouldering the load offensively, and Atlanta's really not interested in playing defense. Those guys are just under the $8,000 mark. Will they be in your plans at least for a splash on your 150 lineup player pool?
Yeah, I love Oladipo here. He's another one that the shot hasn't really been falling, but you're talking about a guy that's, if Indiana actually plays a competitive game, which they haven't been this year, he's locked into upper 30s in minutes. He's got well over a 30% usage rate. He picks up defensive stats. He can get out in transition and have success. It's a terrible Cleveland defense, and it's in Cleveland, which I think at least ups the chances that the game remains competitive by a little bit. So, yeah, I absolutely love Oladipo at 7,700. I would be very, very surprised if he doesn't end up being a core play for me.
Looking at the way the game is being played, JJ Redick, this is like the perfect – it's like the NBA reinvented itself to be perfect for him. We know he's not starting. We don't care. He's closing. Yes, there are some close games and or overtime boosting this, but in his last 3 games, he has attempted, doing the math quickly, 36 three-pointers. That's 12 per game. He has dropped 17 of them. That is 1 over 50%. Or over making half of them. That's phenomenal. He's up to 5,600. Yes, he doesn't do exactly a ton of other things. He gets a few assists, occasionally lucks into a rebound, rarely gets steals, never gets blocks. Is this someone you would consider at 5,600, Adam?
No, I don't really have any interest at all, just because he's basically a scorer who is now priced to where he needs to, put up like 30-something fantasy points just for you to really be happy with it. And I don't think he gives that much more upside with Ben Simmons and Embiid both healthy.
All right. Last guy that's jumping out for me and kind of is a nice little transition between shooting guard and small forward, but we'll let you cover anybody else. Chris Middleton. I really like him on the Bucks. They don't have a ton of people that we can count on for offense. He's a nice secondary play. He, he'll probably we'll maybe get a little Fournier, a little Jonathan Simmons, Jonathan Isaac defense going against the Magic. This feels like a good spot for him, even though it is on the back-to-back. I like him. I really want to point him out if you're doing any drafts over there on draft.com or the draft app. He is someone that always slides. Don't sleep on him. He's somebody you can look to for your second forward. And especially in those 6-mans, he tends to slip. You can get him in the 4th round a lot of the time. What do you got here? What are your thoughts on Middleton and anybody else at the 2 guard?
Yeah, I mean, I think Middleton's fine. He always plays big minutes. It's just always hard for me to prioritize him because I always prioritize Giannis. So it makes it, kind of tough.
On draft, you only get one of them per team. So
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think he's fine. But CJ McCollum, I think, is kind of interesting at a pretty cheap price tag still at 6,200. He's playing alongside Damian Lillard for all of his minutes now, which isn't great, but he does still have about a 27% usage rate this year. He's also shooting well below his career averages. He got in a little bit of foul trouble in their last game, so he only played 29 or 30 minutes. And it's not a great spot for him, but I still think that there is plenty of upside for him at only $6,200.
All All right. Reminder, if you use the promo code EARLYBIRD, you can get 1 week free of Awesemo premium content. That does include now the Fantasy Cruncher add-on, in addition to Awesemo, also known as Alex Baker, well, at least to his parents, though they might be calling him Awesemo now. I'm not entirely sure. But you can get his personal rankings along with his proprietary ownership percentages. You get projections from for basketball from FanVice, which are the hot magic projections that we've known to love for the last couple of years. You get Josh Engelman's projections for NBA. For hockey, you get Jake Hari's projections. We got you covered everywhere. Of course, there are football projections. There are cheat sheets for all of the above and premium articles for all of the above. Definitely check it out. Promo code EARLYBIRD, no space. Just one word, even though it is two. Just type it without the space, and you will get a free week of Awesemo premium content. Looking at some of these discount dandies, as we look towards the new NBA, what do we like to see from our $4,000 guys? We really need them to have the ability to get to 30 fantasy points, or I don't know that we want to play them on DraftKings. So if you look at somebody like a Garrett Temple, who is kind of outside of one outlier, treading around, fantasy point per minute, but he's only going to get about 20 minutes. You've got Lance Stevenson, who's up and down. You've got Marcus Smart, who just has been somewhat disappointing. You've got TJ McConnell. He really needs someone to be out for him to do well. Anybody down at the low end without news that you just have an early eye on? We do have Lance Stevenson. We've got Brandon Ingram out for one more game. Rajon Rondo will be returning, and Lance has been all over the board. Potentially he is a tournament option. What do you like here from the cheapies, if anything, without news yet?
Not a ton that I like. Garrett Temple, I think, is the most interesting just because I think that he could play, 35 minutes here against Phoenix, and he's good enough, but nothing that I'm excited about at all.
All right, let's get on over here to the small forward position. This is where we get to talk about Ben Simmons, triple-double waiting to happen. We have Nikolai Mirotic, who has been just amazing fitting next to Anthony Davis and finally being healthy. He had several moments last year after being traded to them, but he is really, really rounded into form. We've got a somewhat discounted Aaron Gordon going against Milwaukee. Gordon has topped 30 fantasy points just twice in his 5 games this season. That's a little disappointing, but we know the talent is there. Initial read here at the top of the list for small forward, because some of these guys obviously are power forward as well.
Yeah, it's a really top-heavy position. I think, obviously Giannis, in my opinion, is the best player in NBA DFS. And he has, a pretty nice matchup here against Orlando. He is on a back-to-back, but I'm not really sure how much I care about that. He's just doing so much in every facet of the game right now that I like him a lot. LeBron right below him, I'm going to have a lot of trouble getting to because even cheaper than LeBron is Ben Simmons. So to me, it's either Giannis or Ben Simmons, both guys that offer monster ceilings and are going to play a ton of minutes, basically triple doubles waiting to happen every time they take the floor. So I like those guys at the top. I like Taurean Prince in the mid-range, 6,600 against Chicago in a nice spot there. DeMar DeRozan's got a really good matchup against the Lakers. His price tag's gotten up a little bit, though, to where I would rather find $900 to get the Ben Simmons, I think, than play DeRozan. But it's a perfectly fine spot for DeRozan as well. Then it drops off and gets pretty ugly, though. So I think it's a position where I'm going to try and pay up as much as I can.
Again, I'm just having some fun with this. 47 players at small forward above 4,000. 4 of them are only small forward eligible.
Yeah, it's a little out of hand.
10%. So it's Taurean Prince, Cedi Osman, Josh Jackson, and DeAndre Bembry. I'm fine with those guys just being small forward only. Some of these other guys, though, I don't know. Anyway, thank you, DraftKings, for giving us some amusement here. How are you thinking DeMar DeRozan's fitting in there with Coach Popovich this season?
Seems good so far. I mean, the assists are up. The usage is up. I've been pretty impressed.
Could this be a trade that I don't know that really helps out both players, because in a vacuum, Kawhi Leonard, when he's motivated and healthy, is the better player. But it seems like DeRozan's willing to buy into the various systems and shape his game as needed. Old habits do die hard, and he does like those long twos. But still, This seems like a nice readjustment for him. And then also Kawhi has just been absolutely phenomenal so far this season.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty interesting trade. Obviously I prefer Kawhi, but things weren't really working out in San Antonio. So getting DeRozan for him was, not a bad trade.
All right, let's look at the power forward here. Anthony Davis coming in on the back-to-back. We also have LeBron and James eligible here. LaMarcus Aldridge up at the top. Ooh, Blake Griffin. How do you think Blake Griffin's going to match up there with the Boston front court that does not really have any stalwart defenders?
Yeah, I mean, his price tags come up a bit because of the big games that he's had prior, but actually it's dropped a little bit matchup against Boston. So it's kind of appealing. I still don't really think I'm going to end up prioritizing him on this slate, but the usage rate has been through the roof this season, up over 30%. The assists are still there. The rebounding's there. So yeah, he's fine. I think I'd rather go to Aldridge in a much faster matchup against the Lakers. Boston, once again this year, the best defensive rating in the NBA so far. So at the same price point, if I have to choose one of them, I'd go to Aldridge.
Do you remember when Derek Favors used to be good?
Yeah, I remember we used to play minutes too.
Oh, such a shame. Such a shame. Looking through just quickly at the rest of power forward, there's some intriguing price plays here. Again, we're on the multi-position eligibility side, but you can get Al Horford there. You can get Jason Tatum. Both those guys are under $7,000. They're kind of interesting. Jabari Parker should be seeing some more minutes. With Portis out, he'll be on the back-to-back here. He's had some motivational issues. He's actually coming off the bench, which I don't have an issue with. They're ceremonially starting. God, some guy, I can't even remember his name.
Chandler Hutchison.
There we go. Yes, and I'm not worried that I don't remember his name. He is we're not going to worry about him. But Parker getting a little bit more usage, getting to be a little bit more of the offense, and no issues with that. We know he's not really a fan of playing defense. That fits right in with what Chicago's doing. He's someone we might want to look at. And then Rudy Gay is where I'm going to use my last spot here. Again, I think he's more of a small forward, but you know what? As he gets a little older, I guess we could call him power forward as well. He gets the matchup against the Lakers. The 5,600 price tag is very, very nice. He is someone that is more of a contrarian or a differentiation option. I like him because we should get a little more pace going against the Lakers. Any thoughts on him? Or again, we haven't really seen him pop a 40 burger or anything like that. Is he someone, until you get some upside from him, you're going to wave him off? Or is he what we're going to start looking for? Guys in the right situation that, though they don't have the best game logs, will be in an opportunity to, and we can zig when others zag and exploit that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in a pace-up spot like this, it's going to get around 30 minutes. He still gets enough usage where I think he has upside. So I have no issue using him. Like, he's not going to be a core play for me, but I have no issue, using him as someone in tournaments to try and create some upside for cheap.
All right. Anybody else you want to hit on here? Jay Crowder, very discounted, going against New Orleans. We've got Larry Nance Jr., who is going against Indiana. We know we like to take bigs against Indiana. We have Dario Saric, who has been solid. He's another guy I like to look to over there on draft. He gets undervalued oftentimes. He's 5,500. That's an intriguing price point. Feels like we may end up foregoing more than one star tonight on Saturday night, and we can get one hell of a team here between the $5,000 and $8,000 players, Adam.
Yeah, I think that Jonathan Isaac should play big minutes again. He's 4,800. I think baseline projection for him is around 30 minutes, so that's a decent value spot.
All right, center spots: Embiid, Aldridge, Drummond, Vooch. What pops for you here?
All of the above. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty deep position up at the top, but I actually like going to the mid-range here. Hassan Whiteside's only $7,000 against Portland. Again, it's a spot where we should expect him to play towards the upper end of his minutes range, because we've seen Yusuf Nurkic playing his full 32, 33 minutes, and I would expect Whiteside to be out there along with him. Whiteside was underprojected in his last game against the Knicks. He still didn't play his full minutes because the game blew out, but he scored 46 points in 3 quarters. But I think that you're going to see his minutes again be underprojected because there's going to be confirmation bias where people are like, oh, I projected him to play in the mid-20s, and he did. when he did it in 3 quarters. So I think that projecting Whiteside for like 32, 33 minutes here at $7,000 is probably going to get him into a lot of my lineups.
And here's the thing that's just absolutely phenomenal. So he's averaging 28.3 minutes per game, 14.3 rebounds per game to go along with 13.5 points per game. On DraftKings, he's a walking double-double bonus. And all these little things add up. Plus, we know he has the ability to get 3, 4, potentially 5 blocks in a game. There's a lot of vagaries that come into blocks and steals, but he does have that ability to get the blocks, and that's something that can really add up quick as well. So I do like him as an upside option here. Do you think he has a chance to actually lead the league in rebounds? It's going to be against Drummond and a couple other people.
Yeah, I doubt it because Drummond plays more minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, so I wouldn't expect him to just because and Giannis. I mean, Giannis is
Russell Westbrook there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean Giannis obviously anecdotal, but we're sitting now halfway through the second quarter of Giannis's game and he already has another 9 rebounds.
Oh my. He has been unleashed. He's absolutely been unleashed.
I still haven't gone back to confirm it, but I'm attributing a lot of that to Brook Lopez.
Well, that's the guy I've got called up here next because I want to ask you about him. He has averaged 14 points per game. Do you want to guess how many rebounds per game?
3.
2.8. I'm going to call that a victory for Adam. Well done, sir. Well done. He's averaging 1.5 rebounds more than he has blocks per game. That just seems wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he boxes guys out, and then, I mean, why not just let Giannis start running down the floor?
Do you think that Russell Westbrook notices this and says, you know what, if I had Brook and Adams on my team, I could average 20 rebounds a game with those guys blocked out?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right, finish this up, reining myself back in. Vucevic is kind of a guy that we know has tremendous upside. He's going to be going against the mess that is the front court of the Bucks. They will be coming on their back-to-back here. He's played in his last 3 games at least 30 minutes in each of them. We like to see that. 8,300, the price has come up, but he's been flirting with 50 fantasy points each of the last 3 with 49, 48, and then 70. 3 games ago. That would be against former team Philadelphia and Joel Embiid. I know narratives, yada, yada, but wow, that one was pretty good. Any thoughts on him as we wind down the show?
Yeah, I like him a lot. It's just that at 1,300 more than Whiteside with basically the same ceiling, it's going to be tough for me to prioritize him, but I do think it's a good spot for him. And also worth pointing out that Wendell Carter is still free at 4,300 going up against Atlanta, probably playing 30 to 32 minutes. So I think that it's going to be tough for me to pay up at the center position when you have him, really, really cheap. You have Hassan Whiteside, underpriced. Even Rudy Gobert at 7,400. I think it's a position where I'm going to want to be in the mid-range or lower.
All right, I'm trying to remember. This is like you. I don't think if you heard the song "Mr. Wendell."
I have no idea.
All right, you haven't. It was before you were born, but it was. I think the band was called. Now I gotta look it up. Or I think it was Arrested Development. But they had a couple other hits, but Mr. Wendell was one of them. Yeah, Arrested Development. So anyway, oh good God, this was released in 1992. So yeah.
I was born.
Okay, well, to you this is one of the oldies. To me,
yes.
To me it was one of the ones that was when I was finishing up high school and started college. But Mr. Wendell. So every time I hear us, we say Wendell Carter Jr., I start hearing the song Mr. Wendell. In there. You may know the song Tennessee. They also did that one. They had a couple of good ones. Anyway, blast from the past there, but it's kind of an earworm that gets going every time I hear Mr. Wendell Carter Jr. All right, we are going to get on out. If you reminder, we do have the Saturday strategy show. We've opened those up, so that will be Adam and I taking in a deeper look at everything here for the NBA. We will have morning shoot-around notes, and we'll have some of the results for the 4 teams that are playing on Friday night to see if anybody else has gotten dinged up. Plus, we'll know somebody feeling, a little rumbly in their tumbly from the flu or something like that. So we'll have more information. Check us out. That'll be over on the Awesemo YouTube channel. You'll be able to ask questions in the YouTube chat. We, of course, prioritize any questions coming from the premium chat, the Slack chat. That would be behind the paywall. Again, if you use the promo code EARLYBIRD, no space, one word, you can get up to a free week of Awesemo.com premium, including the Fantasy Cruncher add-on. So if you were to sign up for it this weekend, you could use it for NFL and NBA and hockey. A lot of good stuff going on here. I definitely recommend checking us out. You can follow Adam at ShipMyMoneyDFS. I am at EMACDFS on Twitter, and it is Awesemo_com. That is Awesemo.com. Instead of the dot on Twitter, it is the underscore. Enjoy. Have a good one. We hope to see you guys during the Saturday show. With that, gamers, good luck.